Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stubzcast, the Content Creator Hub podcast where I talk to other gaming content creators about their journey into the content creation and sharing tips and tricks. Welcome, Michael Mullis from Original Next Level Gaming. How are you doing in this lockdown world? Did I say your name right?
You got it. You got it. Most people put an N in my name. It's perfectly okay. But no, it's great to be here. The lockdown, I actually before coming on, my wife and my three boys and I did a 2.1 mile hike. So I'm all set, pumped up, ready to go. But it did show me how out of shape I still am. So. But no, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's been I've been looking forward to being on, and I love what you do. I love that you're concentrating on content creators and talking to people around and giving people some nice air. Guys and good people like Jay Williams and such. I mean, it's just I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, thanks. That's people seem to be liking it. I mean, when I first started, I done the first show, and I wasn't really sure how it would go down, and people loved it, so I just carried on doing it.
Yeah, it's a great. Went
from there.
It's a really nice format. Everybody. Including us, I have to say we're all talking. We're all talking about games. We're all talking about news. We're all talking about stuff. You take a different tact. You're bringing in the folks who are doing that and talking to them about what they do, and I think that's awesome. I think there's a great place for it, and I know I've enjoyed listening to the Stubzcast myself. So it's a real honor to be here.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Welcome, Dreadpool. Welcome, Graphic God. Hope you're doing okay. Now, Michael, you're quite a big history in the gaming industry, including being a games journalist for over 10 years, which I find it very impressive, to be honest. I do.
Thank you.
So let's start at the beginning. How did you actually get into gaming?
Oh, my goodness. All right. So, I'm going to be 46 in September. So, if you think back into the 70s, the early 70s, your gaming choices were Atari and television. Atari computer, Commodore 64, things like that. So, I started on and in television. My father at the time, my father worked for a toy company, a toy store. So he had access to a bunch of stuff. So he brought home, but he always brought home the other thing. So whatever wasn't the popular thing, he used to bring home. So so while everybody else had an Atari 2600, my dad brought home an Intellivision. Fell in love with it. Great system. And kudos to Tommy Tallarico for bringing that brand back with the Amico coming out later this year in October.
Definitely.
That was my starter. That was my starter game system. And I mean, I did eventually get in a 2600, but the Intellivision was really what I spent a lot of time on. And I still have I don't have my original system anymore, but I'll turn my camera around. I hope it doesn't make anybody dizzy. Up at the top shelf, you can still see some of the games that I have. Yep. So I still have a lot of the games, and I do have it in television too. I just don't have it hooked up. But that was my first system, and as I got older, I played on I had an Atari 800 computer, and then I had a 1200 XL. So I was an Atari kid when it came to the computer side. So I played a lot of games on there, and downloaded a lot of games too. I had the 300 baud modem that from War Games that you dialed up and you put it on the acoustic baud modem, and so we'd download games and I'd have floppy after floppy after floppy of stuff, and then sort of as I grew out of that phase, I got into PC gaming a bit. I had a Tandy 1000 EX, which was really my first foray into PC. And then from there,
Okay.
I kind of I moved over into console gaming, kind of when the Genesis came out, and it's still again
Great
it's a story.
console.
Oh yes,
Big
so
Mega Drive over here, there, my friend.
yes, Mega Drive over there, Genesis over here,
Yeah.
and I became a Sega guy for a long time. Um, and then as I branched off, then I got into more of the multi-platform gaming. I started my Nintendo journey with a Nintendo 64. Then of course Xbox, GameCube, PS2 is where I started my PlayStation gaming. PS2, PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox, and so on and so on. So my Sega fandom, as it were, actually came by complete accident. I love telling this story. I was still doing PC gaming at the time, but I was at home and I was still younger. So I had my Tandy 1000 EX. This was before I started building. Jay in the chat says DX266. I had a DX4 100.
I've not heard of any of these, to be honest.
Those were the chips at the time. So before, think pre-Pentium.
Okay.
But yeah, so Dreadpool, I had the Tandy 1000 EX, which had 16 colors and 3-channel sound, and it was really good. Actually ran a BBS off of it back when those were a thing. But when in the 80s, when when the big Nintendo craze came about, I was still playing on PC. But then, when the Genesis came out, I started to want to play console stuff. I wanted to get away. So I asked my parents for Hanukkah to get me a Nintendo Entertainment System. I wanted an NES. Okay. Well, my dad brought home this thing called the Sega Genesis. And I cried and lost. I was like, well, how could you do this to me? I didn't cry, but I was upset. I was like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted an NES. And my dad was like, well, this is what they had. But look at the box. The games look really, really cool on here. I mean, everybody at the store is talking about it. And I really, after about a day or so of being upset, I finally was like, all right, I took it out of the box. I plugged it in. And the packing game at the time was Altered Beast. And I put Altered Beast in and I turned it on. And I was blown away. And when you start the game and I heard, Zeus in the background or whatever, God's name was, say, rise from your grave. And I'm like, oh my God. And then this giant dude, like this, they're taking up half the screen, walking across, turning into a wolf and beating the crap out of things. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I apologize to my father. And I was my journey into Segadom. And, as you might be able to see behind me, I have my PS4, my Xbox boxes on the wall, but right in the middle is the GOAT, greatest of all time, the Dreamcast. And
Dreamcast.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Well, and the Dreamcast actually got me started in a lot of things. So, one of the questions you had was that we'll get to, and the Dreamcast kind of plays a very pivotal role in where I am today, believe it or not. Sega does. Sega really does. So, Jay, I did have a VIC-20 for a small time. For a very small time. I remember Lunar Lander on it. That's about it. Also had a TI. Yes, Quackshot. Yep. That was a great Genesis game. Yeah. Also had a TI-99 4A, which had some really fun games on it. Munchman and Car Wars, a Parsec, and Tombstone City. Had some good stuff on there too. So
definitely. welcome, Invader, and welcome Andy Mack.
Hey, Vader. Hey, I missed Beardy Mac coming into the chat room. And yes, I agree, man. You need way more subs than what you have.
Might get there one day. Hey, you're nearly hitting 1,000 subscribers. You're not
Nearly.
that far away from it.
No, we're not.
You'll get there soon.
Yep. We just keep plugging away.
Exactly. You deserve way more than you have.
Oh, thank you. You do too, man. You do too. So.
Oh, what's up, UK Daz? Thanks for coming by.
Hey, Daz, what's up, brother? Gorf. Oh my God, they're gonna start bringing in. They're just gonna start pumping retro games into the chat room. So, by the way, guys, if it's all right with Stubz, ask me anything.
That's all good. That is.
I'm open book. This is a great way to find out all about me. So
is that, have we covered you how you got into gaming? Yeah.
That's how I got into gaming.
Yeah.
So that's how my gaming started. Yes.
Very good story though, that is.
Thanks.
Mine isn't so interesting.
Well, how did you get into games?
Well, I just got a Sega Mega Drive. That was it.
There's nothing. That's the best way to do it.
But the one thing is though, my dad bought it, and then obviously because we were kids, then at night time he'd say, "Right, it's bedtime. Bring your TV downstairs and your Mega Drive," and he'd sit there playing it all night. The same happened with the PS1. The same, and any console we got, bring it downstairs.
Oh, that's funny.
That's the kind of thing I might do. That sounds.
That's right, kids. Bring that Xbox downstairs.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, but can you imagine saying it to the kids nowadays? Bring that Xbox down. No, it's mine.
Yeah, right. Well, now with stuff like Project xCloud and stuff like that, they're not going to need to.
My son was not exactly into them, but he started to show an interest. I mean, he see me playing totally. It's a little game. Total. It's a delivery game. Do you know what I mean?
The totally reliable. Yeah, totally reliable.
Yeah, he likes that. He can't deliver stuff, but he enjoys driving around in the planes and all that.
Spicy John's in the chat.
Welcome, Spicy John. Thanks for stopping by. You got any mint pops for you?
Oh man, John, he is our brother, man. It has been a wonderful thing having John back on the show. It really has. The panel that we have now is just such a powerful. We have so much experience, between us because we're all older gamers. So, I mean, we're all in our most all of us are in our 40s. I think Frankie's a little younger than us, but Chris, John, and I, we're in our 40s. So, we've got like 150, 160 years of experience between all of us in the gaming realm. And these guys, I am nothing without the rest of my crew. Let me tell you.
No, it's a good crew you've gathered. Definitely.
Yeah, they're dynamite.
Definitely.
So,
right, this may sound like a stupid question, but what does a game journalist actually entail? As most people just think you sit there playing games all day and that's it. That's what a lot of them believe.
Well, yeah, I wish. I'll tell you, and look, I'm not going to speak for others because so what you have to remember is I only worked for one publication before branching out and creating Next Level Gaming. So okay. I can't speak to, people that work at IGN or those kind of places. I can only really speak for what my experience was and how, because while I was just an editor for my first site, I created Next Level Gaming, I had to run it. So, I ran it plus did the work. And then I had some talented people working with me too. And I don't want to take away from, a lot of people worked very hard to write articles and do reviews and stuff. But, I had the added, piece of having to deal with the financials and keeping the site running. I mean, it was different than it is now, where you can find place on a WordPress blog and upload it somewhere and keep it. We had to, and YouTube for videos and stuff like that. We had to keep a server. We had to build a server and keep it in a co-location. And when, we had to build the back end, we had to build the site. The original site that I had was built by a gentleman over in Europe.
Okay.
That built it in a custom code that he built. And when he left, he left and kind of left us in this kind of lurch, because none of us knew what he did in the background, and he didn't leave it in a way that we could sustain it. So I had to take a very fast crash course in SQL and no joke, SQL and ASP script, and I had to rewrite our entire site. And I ended up doing it. I wrote a whole new back end and maintained it and stuff. And it was a lot of work and a lot of time. So on top of that, I had a full-time job, because we made enough money. We made enough money with Next Level Gaming to sustain the site, because the site had cost. We had to keep that server running at the data center, which was, at the time it was $100 a month, which, for us young guys that are working through, it's not easy to pull that money together. We're all starting families. We're all, that kind of thing. So, we used pop-up ads and a UGO affiliation to sustain us. UGO was kind of one of those. They were one of those multi-site things where they had a gaming side, they had a movie side, they brought us in to be an affiliate, and they supplied us with advertising that went on the site, and in turn they paid us for the advertisement per click, and we made enough money every year to sustain the site and to pay for my entire crew's E3 trip, which was not cheap.
No.
And so none of us took a salary. None of us. I did not take a single dime out of the site. I got paid in games, which was nice, because companies sent us games to review.
When it was discs, they sent you discs.
Yep. And in fact, I told you I was bringing some tchotchke stuff to show off. I have some little known rarity things, like, so this is from Xbox, the original Xbox, the OG. No, I'm sorry. This is Xbox 360. So this is a copy of World Series of Poker. And this is how I would, because I have a 360 dev unit, which actually is, I still have it. I have it stored away. Microsoft never asked for it back after I retired. But I still have it. I bet it still fires up into PartnerNet. And I could probably still run a couple of these things. I had from my great friends at Acclaim, the Red Star. I miss you guys. Okay. I miss Acclaim. And so these are the things that, we get these, and then we of course get box copies of stuff. So,
okay.
And so I, instead of taking money from the site, me and my crew, we got games. So, Now,
Yeah.
well, I was gonna to answer the bigger question of whether you just get paid to play games all day. It's much more than that. We had a news section. We had, in fact, you can find, if you really want to go back and look at what we did and some of our fun. And I think it says I can share my screen if you don't mind.
Yeah, you can do what you like. You can.
Let's see. So
I've never used it before, but
share. Well, let's see if it works. So,
yeah.
Screen 2. Let's see what screen 2 does. I don't know what's going to happen here.
Oh,
it's showing. Hold on. So it's showing. Hold on. Let me try the screen 1 then. Maybe it needs screen 1. Because I could. There we go. So there's a site called the Internet Wayback Machine, and if you go to its web.archive.org and you put in www.nlgaming.com, they've captured about 500 site pages between May of 2002 and March of 2020. Although nowadays, if you see it, it's not. It's some sunglass. I could rebuy the site for like $7,000 if I wanted, but we really put a lot of time and effort into this site. So you can see a lot of our old work if you go and you look. So
yeah, I'm trying to add it. Oh, there we go.
There you go. So, it was more than just playing games and review. We did a lot of preview stuff and a lot of writing. We had to collate a lot. And I didn't have the luxury of we didn't have YouTube. We had to store videos right on the site, and I had to create them with a capture card. But we also did news. So you got a number of
can't you? Oh, you can see it, Jay. Sorry, yeah, you can see it.
He says, there we go. So you can see it now. Yeah. We had to take, anytime we got press releases, it depends on, like I said, some of this stuff is there, some of it's not. So it depends on what they were able to capture. But what's cool is they captured a lot of our review stuff. So, here's my Madden, my Madden page, my Madden 06 page. And I had a bunch of videos that you could click on, and I don't think I doubt they'll play now, but I have them on my hard drive. I copied a lot. I copied off everything before we shut down. So I have all this stuff sitting on my hard drive, but this is what we would do. So it was much more than just playing and reviewing games. Anytime we got a press release, we put the press release up, and one of the things that we did that I'm kind of proud of, we just reported the news when something came up, when somebody wanted to I wish it would show an actual news article, but when something comes up, we simply reposted it and let people decide how they felt about it. At the bottom of a press release, we didn't put our take. We just put it up there and let people decide. When we did previews and reviews, of course, there's a little bit of subjectiveness to that. But the other thing too is we approached all of our content on the same even keel. I didn't, if I didn't like a certain genre of game, I didn't necessarily do that review. I might give that review to somebody who does. And if I'm the only one left, right? And if I'm the only one left doing it, then I'm gonna step back and not let my my prejudice against the genre per se get in the way of whether or not the game is actually good or bad. And that led to some review scores that really went against the grain a lot of times.
Oh, okay.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But what was really nice was, back then you had forums. You didn't have social media, so you didn't have to worry about
No.
a bunch of nonsense. But I'd have people every once in a while that would put up a review on a forum of ours and say, hey, I don't know why Mike said this, or I don't know why Daniel said this, or I don't know why Chris said this. I would go on and I'd respond. And I'd respond with, just kind of factual stuff. Hey, thanks for reading a review. Here's what, here's why I wrote what I wrote. And a lot of times it would lead to great conversations and people would come back for more. Nowadays, if you say something to a game journalist, they'll block you because they can't take criticism. I took criticism because you got to remember, this is not my full-time job. But at the same time, I took pride in my work. And I always knew that there were people out there that were better than me. Just like now, there are definitely podcasts out there that are better than Next Level Gaming. And we know that. I know that. But I'm proud of what we do. And I'm proud of the work that we put in. And the same thing was here. I was very proud of the work that me and my team put in. And what was more important to me is we had the respect of developers and publishers, which was important for us because we weren't IGN, we weren't GameSpot, we weren't somebody that you had to take seriously. You couldn't, if you don't get on IGN, if you're not on their good side, well, then they can ruin your game by not covering it, and you could lose a lot of it. With us,
you're a real journalist, just say it, and have integrity. Exactly.
Well, and we treated people, but we also, look, when a game was not the best, we said it. When a game was, look, I've gotten some serious heat from some developers over reviews and such. So, I just, it's surreal too to go back and read some of this. And then we had some really neat interviews that we did. And I still, like I said, it's still neat to go back and see some of this. So this is what we did. So in 2007, my then my now 15-year-old was getting to a point to where he needed dad's attention, and I couldn't do a full-time job and then come home and spend 4 to 5 hours writing for the site. And that was where the decision came to kind of give it up.
It was fair enough reason, know.
So, but look, in the time that we were there, in the time that we were doing this, we hung with those big boys. Our numbers, I was always astounded, and we caught people's attention. Microsoft and Sony paid attention to us.
Very good, guys.
Because of our numbers, because they were not expecting, here's a little site, with 5 guys who, literally do this on their spare time, but look at the numbers they get. And so, it allowed us to do things like E3. It allowed us to be invited to things. It was just kind of neat. So.
Yeah, no, that's very, very interesting. It was nice to see your website. That was.
Thank you. I love to go back and look. I love to go back and look because it's, like I said, it's surreal to know, your stuff is still out there.
Well, exactly. They always say nothing leaves the internet, but unless it's completely been wiped off the face of the earth and deleted.
Yes. And so I want to thank the Internet Game Wayback Machine for grabbing those. I never knew that they even did till somebody pointed it out to me and said, "Hey, is this you?" And I'm like, "Wait, where'd you get this?" And pointed me towards it. And I just started looking, and I'm like, wow, some of my experiences.
Yeah, that's really, really good. That is.
All right. So I know you had other questions.
Yes, I did. Welcome to the Indie Gamer.
Hey, Andy, what's up, brother?
You had one off Dreadpool. Whether you want to answer it now or later, would you consider doing it all again with the website for original next level gaming?
Or another site, if not yours. Every once in a while, as I see what modern gaming journalism has become, every once in a while I look and I go, man, I'd love to come back and do it right. But the truth of the matter is that, I still have a wife and 3 kids, a full-time job, and anybody who's in IT knows that these days, IT is a 24/7 job.
Is it security, like kind of that kind of?
Well,
job?
it's a mix for me. My company, my full-time job, my company is a cybersecurity focused managed services provider. So
wow,
we take care of.
That is.
Yeah, we do infrastructure management and maintenance and things like that. But we have my service desk is 24/7 and things like that. So the time it would take me to do, even if I wrote for another site, I don't know that I have that time. One of the great things about the podcast, the show, is the fact that everybody that's on the show is my friend. We're kind of a gaming brotherhood, and I just saw Chris pop in.
Welcome,
and John's here. So I got half my well, now it's 2/5 of my crew here with me. Jay, actually, because Jay's our graphic designer. So technically, I know that on Thursday night, no matter what's going on in my week, I've got that time to be with them, to talk games, to decompress from the world, and to do next level gaming. I've been trying to figure out how to, I've wanted to get back into doing some game streaming and stuff like that. And I just find that I don't have the time, and that's really tough. So it's a great question, Dreadpool. I don't know if I could. I just don't think I've got the time right now. Maybe in the future, look, game developers are in their 50s and 60s. So you darn tootin' the gamers can be in their 50s and 60s. Well, maybe as a side thing when the kids are all out of the house and I got time on my hands, maybe get back to it. But right now, I really like what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with.
That's good to hear, because it's. I know you say there's better podcasts out there, but I don't really think there is, to be honest, because you offer something. You offer something different. You don't have to have thousands upon thousands of views to have a great show. It just means people haven't found you.
Yeah, and we want to look
because most of your people they listen weekly, or they join weekly live, or like me, because I'm in the UK, I listen like the day after or a few days after.
Which I appreciate.
People keep coming back. So I think you'd rather have people keep coming back than rather draw in a few thousand each time, if you know what I mean.
Well, and yes, no, absolutely. And look, we try to be kind of a respite from what's out there. I mean, first, again, and this is not all of them. There are some fantastic shows out there that are that are run by great people. Jay is one of them. Retro Renegades, love that show to death. Those guys, Jago and Crispy and Supersonic, those guys. I mean, and Daz. When Daz is on, although I got to put the headphones on because the kids are around, but he knows.
Yeah.
He knows. But that show is so wonderful. And it's different, and it's something that you get away from when you don't want to listen to a bunch of people dragging on manufacturers and dragging on games and things like that. Now, do we have some great debates? And full transparency, definitely since John's been back on, John brings a great
Ring Pops, a great debate.
But John brings some great insight and some great opinions to the show that aren't necessarily mainstream opinions and sometimes not even ours. And so it creates these wonderful discussions that we have. And last week we had one on, on The Last of Us 2 leaks we went an hour talking about it.
Yeah, very interested on his take on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And those kind of things allow us to have those kind of debates, but still be, our moniker has been Real Talk from Real Gamers, but I've added something to it. And I think John's brought that to the show, objective, but passionate, we want to continue to be objective. Chris and Peter and I and Frankie and John, we want to be, positive, of course. But we also, we call it like we see it. I've had my opinion about a number of different things that I see from what I feel is an objective standpoint of the game industry. We have some great debates in that way. So, and I'm happy to have 20 people in our chat room who are fantastic gamers, and maybe and a couple of hundred people that listen to our show right now that are looking for that and looking to get away from the arguing and the kind of the fanboyism that you do see on some shows, and we just want to be a little different, and it doesn't attract the same crowd. We don't attract the same crowd, and we know that. I know that. Would I like to have, 12,000 subs and 500 people watching our show? Yes, of course. I think everybody would. But I want them to be the right gamers too. I want them to be people who, one of the things we pride ourselves on is those people in the chat room. We want them to be part of our show. I want them to engage with not only us, but I want them to engage with the other folks in the chat room that can have some meaningful conversations around what we're talking about. So, if we're talking about, Dreadpool's got it right, constructive debate. If we're talking about, The Last of Us 2, or if we're talking about delayed games, or if we're talking about Project X Cloud, and look, that was really one of our great shows, was having a conversation and kind of debate around gaming services versus versus physical content, streaming versus console. And what we found was while John and Peter and I and Chris, I think Frankie was off that night. I can't remember if Chris was on that night, and it might have been just the three of us. But we were having this rousing debate with the three of us over whether or not streaming versus physical consoles. It's kind of where John started to get the spicy, the spicy bit. But the chat room got involved, and they were. It wasn't calling John or me or HCK any names. It wasn't saying, F Sony, F Microsoft, this is bad, blah, blah, blah. It was actually joining in to the conversation and bringing up points that all three of us didn't consider. and brought into the show and brought as part of our discussion. And that's what we love about our see, we don't even call them fans, our gaming brethren. Those folks, our brothers and sisters in gaming that come to be part of that, to be part of NLG, and they're that perfect type of gamer that we want. And if that means it's only a couple of hundred a week, I'm okay with that. I've done my time. I want this for my crew. Like, I really want my crew to succeed, with NLG. I've done my time. I've got, I've got my memories. I've done things, that I'm extremely proud of in the industry. And so this for me is fun. And for them it's fun. And I want it, but I want them to garner some of that success. And so, yeah, I obviously want us to grow and want us to continue to grow, but I want us to grow with the right people. And I'll tell you what, honestly, it's the people that's here today. It's the people in the chat room right now.
Exactly.
Dreadpool, Born, and Jay, and Indy, and Daz. These are the folks that they make our show. They may, without that, we could be off doing, Xbox and PSN party chat. This is, Beardy Mac. These are the folks. You guys are the ones that we want as part of us. So that's I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent a little bit.
No, it's fine.
I love the interactions that we have with our friends.
Welcome, Born Distraction, and hello to Techno Fabulous's wife. Hello.
Yep, Shamra, who got a shirt too. Yeah, and she is a big gamer.
That's it.
So
I didn't want to say it wrong. That was all.
Not to worry.
Right then. So how did you get into games journalism? Also, is it the great lifestyle? As I imagine you got to go to E3 gaming events, etc. So I bet E3 was an incredible event to go to.
When it was what E3 used to be, yes. So how did I get into games journalism? Now, this is a crazy story because I am in no way, shape, or form trained in it. I did not go to journalism school. I was, again, so before I became an IT guy, I was in retail a lot. And around the time of the Sega Saturn, I had a job selling pianos. I'm also a musician, so I've been playing the piano for a long time. So thank you, Indie Gamer. You rock too, man. This is what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Good people like Indie Gamer. It warms my heart. So, as you might imagine, selling pianos can be a lonely man's game. Nobody comes in as an impulse buy to a strip mall to buy a piano.
I wouldn't imagine, no.
So, I could spend days upon days without seeing a human being, alone for 10 hours in a piano store. And as much as I'm a musician, I can only play so much. So I started to bring my Saturn into the store, and I'd play games while I'm waiting for customers or while I'm waiting to do a marketing campaign or something like that. And so I'd spend hours playing my Sega Saturn. And the store had a 56K modem. So I'd jump on the modem and I would do IRC chats and I'd do stuff like that. And I'd go out and I'd do forums and I'd talk to stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And one day this guy, his name was Chris. He went by the code name Nando.
Okay.
Got into a conversation with him about Sega, and he said, the new Dreamcast is coming out. This was like in 1998 was when they first, I think, was starting to talk about it. And I said, yeah, I'm really, it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I was going to import it, stuff like that. He goes, cool. I said, he said, I see a lot of your posts and a lot of the conversation you have. I'm building this Dreamcast site. Would you be interested in maybe, do you have time to do some stuff for it? Like maybe write an article or two about it. And I said, dude, I sell pianos. I've got nothing but time.
Exactly.
And so I went to work for this site, and I still have one of my original cards. I went to work for this site called Dreamcast HQ.
Oh wow.
Which you can also, by the way, I'll show my screen one more quick time. You can actually also find that on the Internet Wayback Machine. So I think it was screen one again. So this was our site, our little Dreamcast site. And here, I think I found, here we go. This was in 2001 when Sega was kind of going down. I don't know how many of these pages he had, but I was writing for, I wonder if I click on that. I've never clicked on these to see what happened. Oh, wow. So I actually get a page. So I would be writing articles and reviews for the Dreamcast. And what was really neat about this was there weren't that many Dreamcast sites out there. So we got noticed by Sega.
Wow.
And I got to talk and I got to talk to somebody at Sega who put me in touch with their PR company. It was called Access PR at the time. And I'm still friends with a couple of people on Facebook that were my Sega reps back then. And they sent me a Dreamcast, a US Dreamcast, because I had an import Dreamcast that I was getting. They sent me a system disc, which was real. And I meant to grab one. I might grab one in a second. System discs were what you ran the Dreamcast on. You put the disc in the Dreamcast, fired it up, it had the OS on it, and then you had a second disc that was the game, a review or preview copy that you put in.
Oh, okay.
So I was starting to get those from Sega. And then all of a sudden, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call a couple of other publishers and see what they say. And as I was telling them, I've got a system disc and everything. And they said, are you kidding me? No, I really do. So we began to get games from other companies. And so I was really enjoying it. And I got to show you this. So, here's my, I don't know if anybody remembers the game Vanishing Point for the Dreamcast. One of my favorite racers on the Dreamcast. This was my review of Vanishing Point. And I don't know if it's on here or not, but I did a preview of a game from Infogrames called Test Drive V-Rally. And my rep at the time called me and said, tell me that everything you said about the game was true. I said, of course, I don't lie about my stuff. He said, great, because I want to use one of your sentences. And so on the back of, I'm going to unshare for a sec, on the back of Test Drive V-Rally, and unfortunately, in front of my case is cracked, I got to get a replacement, was my very first box quote. So that's me, and that was my
Wow.
my preview.
That's good. Really good.
I was looking for it while we were talking to see if it was still on the site. And I was like, oh my God. It was surreal to see that. And we just began to garner this great following. When Sega made the decision to get out of the Dreamcast and to get out of console gaming altogether and go third party, I had a decision to make. Give it up and just kind of, I had gotten a job in IT at that time. So it was getting a little busier, but not too busy. I was like, so do I just call it and say, hey, this is a great run. I got to direct some neat stuff. And I said, I want to keep going. I like this. I got to go to E3 the year the year before, like in 1998 and 99. I had my first taste of E3. I got to meet Peter Moore, that infamous party where he's up on the scaffolding. We're gonna kick Sony's ass. I got to meet him and talk to him and become like close to these guys because Peter Moore worked for him at the time. Sorry, there we go. Peter Moore worked for Sega at the time, and I'm like, we really made a name for ourselves. I said, Nando, do you want to do another site with us? And it's like he was like, no, I'm really not that interested. So he kind of peeled off. So I got together a couple of the guys that were doing the Dreamcast HQ site with me, and I said, hey guys, I would love to put together our own site, and why don't we go multi-platform? And so that's what created Next Level Gaming. That's what started it. And thankfully I was able to parlay the connections that I had through Dreamcast HQ into getting developers and publishers to just keep an eye on us, to just see. I was like, hey guys, look, we're going to create our own site. And I said, I know that's hard. And, so, IGN and GameSpot and all those guys are still out there. I said, but we're going to go at it and we're going to continue to go. And we had a couple of guys that, a couple of developers and publishers that were on board with us day one that were, it's like, great. Let us know when you get when you have the ability to review games, we'll send you review stuff. We were starting to get, we had some starter stuff. And it was neat because, so here's a PS2 game called Downforce.
Oh yeah.
That was my second box quote ever.
Nice.
Yeah. Definitely. Of course, this game, I don't know where
did you feel famous?
It felt neat. Yeah. Because I'd go to E3 and my crew would go to E3 and we would be invited to stuff and it'd be like, hey Mike, hey Chris, going out to, we'd hang out with our friends at Activision. I'd had great interviews with guys at id, Todd Hollandsworth and guys like that, or Hollinshead rather, Todd Hollinshead. We got to interview the guys who did the commentary for NFL 2K. I've just had all kinds of stuff. So as we were going along and doing Xbox, now this is, so the Downforce quote, I never understood where they got that from because the game wasn't that good. It really wasn't, but somehow they found a preview quote of mine and kind of twisted it a little and called it that, but I took it. This was a game called Chase. It was out for the Xbox, Hollywood Stunt Driver. And this one is still sealed because I have a review copy of it, a separate review copy of it. And I just kind of wanted to keep this sealed because this is my third and final, where is it? My third and final box quote. And I meant this one. Stuntman was a good game, but Chase was better. And so that was my third box quote. And so I was like in my element, and my guys were getting all kinds of great kudos from people too for their writing, and we were being invited out to game reveals and stuff like that because they did have those back then too. They just weren't big productions with, like you saw when Square Enix announced Final Fantasy's release date or something like that, or the yearly Call of Duty thing. But as we kept going, Microsoft took a hard look at us and eventually sent me it was called a dev unit, a debug, original Xbox.
Okay.
It was a green one. I don't have it anymore because I had to send it back, but I have a
Oh, so
picture of it.
okay.
I have a picture of it sitting on one of my shelves. That one I had to send back, but my rep at the time the Xbox 360 was coming out, is a great guy. His name is Arnie Meyer, and actually now, you see the Nathan Drake poster behind me.
Yes, I've been
Arnie's
noticing that. I have.
yeah, Arnie's the PR manager for Naughty Dog. So I've kept in touch with him all these years.
Are you getting yourself a free copy of the new game?
No, I actually have not asked him for it. I have supported Naughty Dog, and will continue to do so. I have bought every Naughty Dog game, and he's offered, but I've you know what? Because I can't stream it, I said I don't have the time to stream it. We'll talk about it on the show, of course, but I felt like I couldn't put the time into it to take one from them. So no.
Okay,
But
more
he
your crew.
Go
More
ahead.
of your crew's turned up. HGK's here.
Yeah. Hey, Peter. Oh, I do see him.
Badass Lord Tipsy as well.
Ah, Lord Tipsy. And Starbuck United. He's there we go. So it's like an NLG night.
Yeah, it is.
So
welcome everyone.
Oh, Daz, to sell pianos, you need a good key strategy. Oh, nice one. So, the going to E3 was always fun. We got to meet a lot of people, got to do a lot of things. I got some great memories. I meant to bring over too. I had a couple of E3 faceplates for the 360 that I got while I was there. One from Mad Cats and one from Microsoft. But I gotta say, I think I've got such great memories of hanging with my friends and taking them to E3 because they were all of my folks that worked on NLG were all my buddies. It was a kind of a tight knit thing, and it was just so neat to be treated like to be taken seriously. And I remember my Xbox rep Arnie. I pleaded with him to cover the 360. I'm like, and he's like, Microsoft's, they're really picky about who's going to get dev units and debugs. I said, we only have so many. I said, I know. I said, I'll continue to bring you numbers, stuff like that. And he said, I'll tell you what, we're having an event in New York. Come to the event. Come play. We'll talk there. And so my friend and co-writer Dan and I drove up to New York. We went into the event. Peter Moore was there. Shane Kim. So Shane Kim at the time was the head of Xbox Game Studios.
Okay.
I really didn't know who. I mean, I didn't know there was a Phil Spencer at that point. It was Shane Kim and Peter Moore. So this is even pre-Don Matrick. And I had dinner with Peter Moore and Shane Kim and Arnie and Dan and I did after the event. We're talking and I had a good time. It was like one of those, this really neat. Again, here I am with these guys that I really admire in the industry, and we're having dinner. It was just that, who am I? I'm just this guy, that runs this little site. After that, I got the form in the mail with all it had on the front page was, and I wish I had kept it, smiley face, love Arnie. And behind it was the form for the NDA for the Xbox 360 dev unit. And I was like,
Okay.
that's, without that, what happened was then Sony took notice because all of a sudden I was telling them, look, guys, I can do previews of Xbox games. I can't do previews of PlayStation 3 or 2 and 3 games. I said, I need, I would love to be able to do the same with you. So Sony sent over what we needed to do PS2 preview stuff. And so at the time too, it was much easier for developers and publishers like EA and Konami and those guys to send over those discs that I showed you, rather than, a lot of box copies and stuff. Eventually we got a box copy when they had some, but usually what I would get, like I said, I'll show it for those who are just popping in, this is what I would get. And that would be my review copy. And, once in a while I would even get, so here's my Call of Duty 3, but it didn't come in a box. They just sent it in a sleeve. So I wouldn't get a full box copy, but I would still get the disc. And which was fine. I didn't care. And my greatest memory. So we're moving along, we're going along, and right before I decided to call it, Major League Baseball 2K7 was coming out from 2K, and my 2K rep called me and he said, "Hey Mike, so I need your permission to do something, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Just say yes." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I'm not telling you. I just need you to agree to it. Just give me a verbal yes." I'm like, "What are you doing to me, Andrew?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it. Just say yes." And I'm like, "All right, yes." So with the game, I wish I had, I wrote it down. So in the game, he said, "I want you to put in this code, Derek Jeter," right? So I got it on a piece of paper.
Okay.
And you could do this with either, because it's not a create a character. You could do this with either the Xbox 360 or the PS3 version. He said, put that code in." I'm like, "All right." He said, "Did you put it in?" "Yes." "All right, cool. Go and choose the 1988 LA Dodgers unlockable team." All right. All right, start the game. Cool.
Yeah.
Pick your pitcher. All right, I'm picking my. And I got quiet, and he said, "Yeah, you see it?"
Wow.
So they made me a relief pitcher for the 1988 LA Dodgers.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, this is
Crazy.
cool. And the picture of me is pretty darn good. And like I said, all right, go ahead and start the game. So I started the game. And it's one thing, like nowadays in MLB 2K7, the announcer can announce your name. It's another thing for John Miller to announce you. And when I heard that, I went berserk. I was like showing my parents. I was like, "Hey, Dad, I'm in a game." He's like, "What are you talking about? Come over." And so I was showing everybody. It was like it was the most surreal thing I'd ever been a part of, is to be able to actually, to be a playable character in a game, even if it's a relief pitcher for a team that probably no one else in the world is going to know about, or care about. And here I was. That was really cool.
Well, that is really. But you never ever expected that ever to happen.
No. I've got one more. I got one more cool story that I'll tell you, and it's a story I have told before. So I'm a big Toe Jam and Earl guy, and we were really privileged last year to have Greg Johnson on our show to talk about Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove that came out last year, and the reason that I really wanted Greg Johnson was I had been a Toe Jam and Earl fan since the original on the Genesis, the Mega Drive. I even liked the second and third one, where I know that the developer, at the time, Greg Johnson and the development team at the time really didn't. But the Toe Jam and Earl for the Xbox came out, and I gave it probably some of the highest score that was out there. And I sent a review off to Sega like I normally do. "Hey guys, just want to let you know, here's a review, blah, blah, blah." And My rep came back and said, "Hey, this is a great review, and thank you for being so thorough." Because none of the other reviews back then on the game were very thorough. It was just, I didn't like it, blah blah blah. But I wrote a really long and drawn out review of why I liked it and what I liked about it, and what, they loved the fact that I drew, I drew the comparisons to the original games and understood the game. So my rep was like, "Hey, great review, thank you. Is there anything I can do for you?" And I said, because I'm a musician, I said, I have always wanted to learn how to play the main theme on my keyboard. I kind of got it, but I don't. I said, I would love, if anybody has ever charted this out, I would love to, I'd love to see it. So in November of 2002, I got an email from a guy named Burke T from Open Door Productions, who Greg Johnson got to score the third game. But he also rescored the original for the third game, the very original theme. And he emailed me and he said, "Hi, I've never actually sat down and officially charted this out, but here's a rough guide for you." And he wrote me a chart for the song. And I'm like, wow. So, I got this email that here, one more. I printed it out as a PDF in case I ever lost it. And here it's this just email from the guy who wrote music for the third game, giving me the chart for the original Toe Jam and Earl theme. And I'm like, this is great. So these are the kind of neat things that have happened to us over the course of the 10 years that I'd done it. And I just, going back to Dreadpool's question from earlier, would I love to relive those glory days? Absolutely. Who wouldn't? But at the same time, it's time for other people to do so. It's why I'm really proud of guys that I know, like Sam Tolbert and those guys that have become, kind of their freelance journalists and stuff, and they've gone to E3 and they've covered shows, and they do a lot of great stuff. And I love reading their stuff because there are still some journalists out there. There are people out there that do it right and do it well. And I love to see that stuff. And I think it's time for, I love what I'm doing now with the show, and I might still do a little streaming here and there as I have time. But these memories that I have, the stuff that I've done, the friendships that I've made that I still have today, like I said, with Arnie, believe it or not, Peter Moore and I are Facebook friends. I do talk to him once in a while.
Wow.
It's just, he's the pretty much the head of Liverpool soccer club, or football club. So, he's not into gaming anymore. And of course, like he's done everywhere, he took them to championships. So, everywhere Peter goes, he succeeds. But sometimes it's still just, hey Peter, what's up? And we talk for a few minutes. That was a guy who, and I've told this everywhere, and I'll continue to, because he was the nicest guy and one of my favorites overall of anybody who I ever came in contact with in the gaming industry. He was a busy man at Microsoft, but whenever I had my E3 appointment with Microsoft, he saw me, he would come over and shake my hand, say, "Hey Mike, how you doing? How's your family?" we'd talk for a couple minutes and then he'd be like, hey, I got to run. I got to go off, do my thing. But he would take time. And that has stuck with me for 15, 20 years. Just so I take those memories and I take what I see on the Internet Wayback Machine, and I've got a bunch of stuff that's kind of saved on my hard drive. I've got just a strew of all of my videos I used to make and the interviews that I've had and I've got pictures from E3s all over the place that, if you follow me on Twitter, I put up during E3 time. I've got video of I got some neat video of when our rep dragged us into behind closed doors Halo 2 multiplayer session.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a neat thing.
Great.
That was a neat thing. But those are just the things that, meeting the guy, meeting George Lowe, who was the voice of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, who was at E3 one day, and we hung around long enough for him to pop out of his booth while he was doing some voiceover work and talk to my friend Dan and I for like 20 minutes and then sign a poster that I've got up that I still have up on my wall. Things like that are just awesome. And those are memories that I'll always have. I don't know if it's still over there. Oh, my cats got out. I might have to take a small break to get my cats back in the house. Okay. But those are memories that I have. So give me just a moment. I'll be right back. Fine. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So he's gone to get his cats in. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I really appreciate it. You've actually broke the Stubzcast record. 16 live viewers, which is really good. It is. No, Dreadpool, you are right. He needs to write a book. You're right. Definitely some great stories.
Sorry about that.
That's
fine.
My
goodness. Can't leave my door open for a second. The cat's figured out how to scratch through the screen. So now I have to fix the door. So,
Dreadpool was saying that your stories are amazing. You should write a book, and I agree with him. You need to make a book.
All right,
all your stories.
I'll have to do that. So, I mean, I've got and a lot of I have this little wall of. So what's funny is what's holding up the poster is there it is. That's my debug Xbox. So that's my dev unit Xbox. That's the one thing Microsoft never asked back for, so I never sent it back. But I've got a hockey puck signed by Wayne Gretzky for 989 Studios, which was Sony's studio before Santa Monica. I've got a original Prey cigarette lighter thing. I've got a Silent Hill transistor radio that actually works. So I mean, it's just stuff that I've collected. I had a collection of T-shirts, swag that you would get from the shows, and just like I said, a bunch of memories that I'm really proud of, and a team that I was really proud of. And it was really funny, I still keep in contact with some of them too. But they've grown out, not all of they've grown out of gaming and stuff like that. But this is man, you got me into severe memory mode.
Yeah, it's all good.
I really appreciate it.
You definitely got some good gear, good stories you have. Definitely.
Thank you.
Right, we could do some shout outs. Thanks for stopping by, Super Cooper Husk. That sounds very good. The message you just sent me. Also, Stinking Corpse.
Stinky Baby.
Removable Sanity.
Oh, somebody I have not seen before.
He's a good guy, good creator.
Yeah.
I think I'm all caught up. And Starbuck United as well.
Yeah, I saw him earlier in ACS.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I appreciate everybody coming to hear me talk. That's
Yeah, exactly. You got some good stories though. You definitely have.
I can't complain. I really can't. I can't complain about the life that I had in game journalism. I really can't. And I appreciate everybody hanging out to listen to those stories. This because um, I really do cherish that time. And but at the same time, again, I really like I really like what I'm doing now, and I really like the the gaming brothers that I get to be they get to hang out with Thursday nights and talk. And of course we game together and we talk throughout the week to get so it's not just once a week and we're done. And they're truly so just like the website, these are truly my friends, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Wouldn't have it
Mark,
any other way.
that's cool. Mike, Starbuck United is a lady.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. I'm a gal. Yeah, I mea culpa. I am so sorry. I didn't know. And now I do. I now I do. So I apologize. I feel bad now. Ah, I never knew. I swear. Nobody ever told me either. So gaming
Nice.
sisters as well.
Yes.
Because I know I have seen Starbuck United in our chat. So
She's very supportive of a lot
yes.
of podcasts. A
Yep.
lot of the people in there are.
They are. No, we try to do, I try my best to support and be, and I can't always do it live, but I will try to be live in as many shows as I can of people that again are I feel are like us and want to are doing it for the betterment of gaming and for the better and for the good kind of the good side of podcasting and shows. So I had a good run till the end. At least Jay made that same mistake, so I don't feel so bad.
Exactly.
So I will figure out how to make it up to you, Starbuck. I promise.
Right.
So.
Right, and so I know you've talked a lot about the NLG podcast. So what made you want to do a podcast? I know you covered a little bit about it.
A little bit. So I had actually when I retired from the site, I actually got out of gaming itself for a while. Because again, it wasn't just that I didn't have enough time. It wasn't that I just didn't have enough time for that for the site, but it did sort of wear me out a bit, and it did in a small way burn me out from gaming as a whole. So I gave it up for a while. I didn't, and there was a couple years when I didn't play anything. They were sitting on my shelf and I didn't use them. And then I started to, when the 360 and the PS3 were the last consoles that I covered at launch. I didn't, well, no, I'm sorry. We covered the Wii, because the last E3 that I went to, we sat there, after the Nintendo conference where they announced the name, and three of us sat at a diner table and said, "What is wrong with Nintendo?" I said, "Who was that high that they came up with the name Wii?" And of course the rest is history, as we know. But that was so I mean, I had the Wii, that generation was the last generation I covered at launch. Okay. And I retired, got out of gaming. I got interested again when the Xbox One was announced, and I started to get back on the forums and things like that, and talk to people and argue with people, because I was a heavy proponent of Microsoft's original Xbox plan. So I was doing all of that. And then I saw a couple of YouTube videos of people talking about games on YouTube. And I'm like, huh, this looks fun. So I forgot what drove me to it precisely, but I got a hold of two of my original site writers, and I said, "Hey guys, you want to do this thing, this recorded show on YouTube?" And I said, "Well, yeah, why not?" I said, "You guys still even gaming?" And one of them was kind of doing it, but not. You know, it was one of the guys I sold the site to when I retired. One of my co-writers.
Okay.
And he said, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "You know, Chris, you still own the site technically, because you still own the business license. Can we use Next Level Gaming? Do you mind if we go back to, you know, Next Level Gaming?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we recorded a couple of shows on Skype, but it wasn't live. It was just, we recorded the show and then I heavily edited it. After about a couple of weeks, they were like, "You know, I can't put the time into it." So Sean and Chris kind of bowed out. And then I met somebody on Twitter that said, "Yeah, I'll do a couple shows with you." So I started getting a couple of other people to do these shows. And I was really starting to like it. This was 2015, I think. So it wasn't exactly. I'm going to take a look. I'm horrible with time, by the way. You'll find that me and timelines don't get along too well, which is why I'm always looking at the Internet Wayback Machine to see when exactly NLG started and when I left it, because I can tell from there.
Okay.
It's just funny. I can tell that from the timestamps that they have and when my last article was. It's just funny that way. But it wasn't at E3 that we started back up. It was sometime afterwards that I was like, you know, I would just love to cover this stuff again like I used to. And I wanted to do a news show. I wanted to do a straight up news show like we used to do with the site. It would just be it would just be like a weekly show. I pitched it as, you know, I said, "Hey guys, it's like what we hear with sports on the radio. We just do a weekly radio show."
Okay. Yeah.
And so that got started, and then we started. I had some issues with keeping co-hosts, because while I had the time to do it, people would come on and they'd start doing it with me, and then realize, I don't know that I have the time to sustain this once a week. So it took me a bit to get to where we were. And just so you guys know, podcast number 1, which I'm bringing up now. I don't know why my computer's so slow all of a sudden, but let's see. Let's do it this way. The first show was June 9th, 2015. So that was our first show.
Okay.
It was before the 2015 E3. It was a week before that, because I said, you know, we could cover E3. So we did our first show, we did our second show, and then I brought on some new people to do the third show and above. And then at some point, we decided to go live and try to do a show on Hangouts.
Oh yeah.
And that happened
Okay.
shortly afterwards. So we started doing Google Hangouts. And like I said, we had a number of different people. Peter came on about 4 years ago. He I can't remember the exact podcast, and it's actually, like I said, it's for some reason YouTube's going a little slow. Could be the browser that I'm using, but Peter was in chat, and I had another guy, Jason. He was in chat, and I had them on as like guests, right?
Okay.
And then they just started coming on all the time, and so Jason left, and then John came on for a bit. John was actually on with me before Peter, and him and I did some live shows together. Frankie came on and did live shows. In fact, Frankie Aylor, who came on before John, actually helped me in a time when I was going through all these changes with co-hosts, and I was like, this is just not worth it. And I almost walked away from all this because it was just a lot of turmoil. And Frankie was like, "No, you're not. You're not quitting. And if I've got to do this show with you until you find some full people, then so be it." I'm like, "Okay." So Frankie and I did the show for a bit. Then John came aboard, and then I'm gonna say somewhere around 4 years ago, Peter joined. So, and it's crazy to think that we're almost on our 200th show. To be honest with you, this was 195.
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought, what's
Yeah,
been going?
I know.
I know you're
So
number 10. We might get to
yeah,
195.
hey,
You never know.
you guys. Oh, I'm sure you will. So looking at this, so Peter joined in June of 2016. So this June is 4 years. That's amazing.
Oh, that is amazing.
Amazing to me. So, Chris came aboard last year. Frankie came back. John came back. And I mean, this is just, it's just crazy. And what we've tried to do is, like I said, we're trying to be different. And we're trying to, be more news oriented. But, again, be objective, but be passionate. Have fun. Sometimes sometimes we have some debates, but I try to remember where I came from, and I try to remember that you can have an opinion, sure, but you have to ground that opinion in objectivity. And if you can do that, and if you can sustain that, then not everybody's going to agree with you, but you can come away proud of what you do. And I continue to be proud of what we do, and I continue to be proud of the people that I have on my that I have by my side, because as I said, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I can't do this by myself. I don't want to do this by myself, which is why I don't want to bring a site back. Without Chris, Peter, John, Frankie, I wouldn't do it. So my co-hosts are as important to NLG. And I don't even get me started on Jay. Dude, Jay, I could go an hour on the great stuff that Jay has done for us. And my love for that man, for Graphic God. What you see today is what he has done for us. When you see that logo, that logo come up at the beginning of the video, when you see the screen, our background and all of our stuff that you see now, the shirts, the hats, everything, it's all been, that's his work. And he's responsible too, in a big part, for my being here, 5 years later, doing this. So
Jay's a very, very good guy.
Shay is the best.
He is.
He's the best. I can't thank him enough for everything he's ever done for me and for Next Level Gaming. I mean,
he's probably going bright red now.
No, he should, because he deserves it. So, whew.
Yeah, that's definitely answered my question on the NLG podcast.
So that's how it started. Yeah. That's how it started.
Do you have any goals going forward for the NLG YouTube channel? Have you got any different projects you want to work on or anything like that?
That's a great question. I would still like to build up the streaming part of the, and I would love to do it myself. I've always opened up, for the people that might want to stream stuff, and I know we have, Super Cooper's done some awesome streams for us. Niall, one of our friends, Niall, has done some great playthroughs for us. I'd love to have a streaming section where we have a set of creators that stream games for us, and I can work with publishers and developers to get like indie games and stuff that I could get to these guys that they could stream for us. I would love to that would be something that I'd still love to get off the ground. I also and Jay and I need to talk about this. I've been working on something that I've mentioned. There are a bunch of great shows out there that do what we do or try to be in that same line as we are, where we're talking about games and not crazy stuff. I'd like to work on pulling those sites together into some sort of consortium, some sort of group, and I'm still working on that. And I'm hoping that that's something that I'm looking to hope to get off the ground this year. And I've got a couple of sites and I've got a couple of sites in mind that I really want to be part of that. Not an affiliation, not like I've not something that we own, but just a a gaming Starfleet, so to speak, a United Federation of Planets. For those of you who like Star Trek, if you don't like Star Trek, that's a bad name. I didn't come up with it, but those are the kind of things. Like I said, those are the kind of things that I would like to do. And I'd like to stream some myself. It's time. A lot of it is time. So. Yeah,
you're right. That is one of the biggest things, time. But that's quite a good insight into what you'd like to expand into. Your global empire.
I tell you, the ultimate goal one day would be to be before it truly does, and it might already. I mean, the window may be closed. I always thought that I had one more E3 in me, but I always thought that I had one more E3 for Next Level Gaming. So it would have been nice to have gotten to a point to where we were good enough to go. Maybe a fan fest or maybe something like that. But
it's very interesting. It is. I mean, I still can't imagine what E3 is like to go to.
It's crazy. When it was a trade show, it's crazy. I don't. Yeah, I will say this. And this kind of goes to your first question, the very first question you asked me about being a game journalist, and is it just sitting around playing games? People think that all these journalists just go to E3 and they just walk around and play games all day. I don't think I never got to play a single game at E3 that wasn't that was just out on the floor. When we went, and this is how serious we took this. We had appointments with publishers all through the show. And our day started at 9 and ended at 5 with appointment, and we would have to double up and split our group off, and I'd have Dan and Chris go talk to, hey guys, you got 10 a.m. with Konami. Sean and I have 10 a.m. with EA, and we'll see you at lunch. I never got to walk the show floor very much. I never got to just go up to booths and play games and stuff like that. I made the mistake of taking my wife one year, and she was like 1 year, and that was it. It was not fun for her because it wasn't what you think it is. It was work. And then when we got done, we went back to the hotel and we wrote. And when I was waiting for the plane to go home, I sat in the terminal, my laptop open, and I was writing articles to put on the site for when we got back. The one disadvantage that we had is we weren't big enough to have our own space to do stuff. We had to they had a media center for media folks, but every Wi-Fi in the 1990s was horrible. Oh, it was horrible. Yeah, it did. Absolutely, yeah, it did. Internet in the 90s, it was horrible, and hotel internet was garbage. No matter where we stood, so it was very difficult for us to get stuff up until after the show. We could put up press releases and things like that, but all the video we took and all the pictures that we took and all that stuff all had to wait. We did a whole week after show. But it wasn't this fantasy, magical show where you just get to walk around and play games and meet celebrities. No. And well, I mean, some journalists could, if you did that, IGN was big enough that they could have people that did the interviews and everybody else walking around with cameras and stuff. We didn't have that luxury. I took 5 people with me to E3. We had to, but that's also how we continue to cultivate our relationships. It was more important to me. I always thought of E3 as a networking show than a fun time. And none of my folks took it as playtime. We hit the ground. We were there to work, and it showed. And I was always very grateful to my team for that. And it was stringent to get in. We incorporated the site. We were an LLC because we had to be. You couldn't just get in. You had to be I had to have a tax ID number, and I had to prove that the folks that were writing for me wrote. So we had to bring bylines. We had to bring. I mean, it was not. You didn't just pay $20 and get in. It was, and so we knew that if that was the criteria to get in, that we needed to take it seriously when we got there. Plus, we were spending the money that we had gotten from the site on this. So we bought our own plane tickets, but the site paid for the hotel and our incidentals and our food. So we were able to, we took it seriously. And it's how, honestly, it's how stuff like this happened. It's how I got a debug Xbox for the site. It's how I still have friends to this day that are in the industry because we took it seriously. So yeah, that's E3 for you.
Yeah, so, that's definitely good.
So I'm glad that Microsoft does the FanFest stuff and
that's
that people
really cool.
do it, because that gives those people a chance to get out and play and have fun, and at the same time get to see get to see the stuff at E3. So that was a nice thing.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for giving an insight, because not many people actually talk about what E3s actually like to go to. As a journalist, to just tell you, oh, it's cool, you play all these games, you meet everyone, but they don't tell you what it's actually really like.
Yeah, you meet everyone, that's for sure. But no, it's for me. It was not that at all.
No, definitely not. Not for the media.
No.
Definitely not. Welcome, Tom Wild. I tell you what, you're breaking records on this podcast. With the top number I've seen is like 18 or 19, and I can't believe it.
Nice. I appreciate it. Look, I appreciate that, and Stubz. A lot of this is because, again, this is your doing. You know, I've had a great time so far, just reminiscing about my life. This is your life, Mike Wallace. You know, and this is so unique. Nobody else is doing this. So I'm happy to. I'm very privileged to be here with you. I really am.
Yeah, thanks for that. I don't know. Cheers. Right. When you're doing your streams and making content, what kind of equipment do you use?
So I have so I got a pretty beefy PC, which you kind of need, especially for what we're doing now. I mean, a lot of our show now is a lot of moving parts in the background, a lot of sparkly stuff. Thanks to Jay again. Thanks to Jay Williams.
Oh, hail Jay.
All hail Jay. Sorry. Very good. All hail Jay.
I hear it on the Retro Renegades loads. I'm sorry, I just had to say
I might have to get one. So I gave Jay his own part of the intro video, and now I might have to put the Men in Black aliens on that with him, with an all hail Jay. You just gave me a great idea, Stubz. Thank you.
On retros, I just popped it in just at the right moment then.
So that's awesome. But we have this, our content, you know, our main screen now is a lot of moving parts. So I have a pretty beefy machine that can handle all that. Then I use we were using XSplit for a long time, but I switched over to OBS. OBS is, to be perfectly honest, much more CPU friendly than XSplit. I was maxing out XSplit a lot. We had to do our show in 720p 30 frames per second, which was fine for a podcast, but we show a lot of gameplay and gameplay trailers and things like that. So when I moved over to OBS, I started to realize that the same exact thing, I could do the same setup, and we use Skype for our video and audio. Thanks to a new technology that's out there called NDI, I can pull in individual Skype windows instead of having to like screen capture the whole Skype screen. So I can put us all in individual windows and all this stuff. And OBS really optimized the screen really well without a whole lot of CPU and GPU hit. So when Jay and I were working on the new design or the upgraded design, I said, I think I'm going to take a shot at putting the show in 1080. And so while I'm at it, I'm going to really see if I can stress this thing out and bump it to 60 frames per second, because a lot of trailers out there now, and I'm going to experiment with gameplay. So gameplay recording 60 frames looks much better, and so that requires a pretty good PC. So I've got that. So we use OBS. The camera I use is just simply a Logitech 920C. It's a really decent camera. Nothing too special. This a friend of mine who does the Gaming Lounge podcast, actually sent me a link. This is just a Fluorion microphone and stand on Amazon at the time, cost me $6.
Really?
Then,
Wow,
yep.
bargain.
Yeah,
Sounds quite good quality, to be honest.
Yeah, I was surprised. And then I got a Phantom Power thing for $15. So really, everything is kind of run off of OBS and Skype, and it works great for us. It works great.
That's quite unique because you don't hear many people actually say Skype. We use Skype anymore.
It's
on shows.
It's still a big way of communication. But you got to have you do have to have the hardware to run it. So if I didn't have,
my laptop wouldn't
if I was still using an older PC, that wasn't as powerful, I would probably be doing something like this with StreamYard, because honestly, this looks pretty good for what you can do here. And I know my friend Ainsley, who does the Season Gaming and the Bitcast, another fantastic show that you guys got.
I actually need to check that out because I haven't checked that out.
What a great bunch of guys Season Gaming is. Oh my goodness. But they use StreamYard too, and they even do intro videos and stuff like that.
Probably got the pro version.
He might.
Yeah, it offers a lot more. It does.
Yeah. And so, I might be doing that now. Granted, Skype and OBS are free, so it's hard to argue with that when you have a wife and 3 kids. So I got lucky in how I got the setup done. And again, I have a graphic god that has done that. I can't continue to put into words what he has done for us to make us look as professional as we do. I get emotional even thinking about it, because he did that for us in his spare time, and I can't. I have such humility for that, and I never forget these things. I never forget these people, the people who have done that stuff for us. Like Diego, he's De Niro Primero on Twitter. Diego created some lapels and some of our splash screens that we use. So when you see our thumbnail for our show, that's him, and the lapels which we use and stuff like that. I mean, these people just that help you and do things for you, and it reminds you that they're, between that and my crew, my current podcast crew, it reminds you that there are still good people out there.
There are many, because they always say like Twitter's the most toxic place, but actually I've met some great guys, and that's how I got in BG4GHub.com. That's how I got in that way. It was through Twitter. But everyone says it's toxic. It's not. There is always nice, genuine people out there.
You have to find them.
Exactly.
You have to find them, and you have to be able to filter out the toxicity.
Oh, exactly.
And I'm getting there. My block foo is pretty good.
Well, one of the top toxic PlayStation boys has got me blocked for some reason. I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah. Oh, I block all. Yeah. Those guys.
You blocked me. I don't know why. Quite pleased by that.
Yeah. And you know what? Thank you.
Exactly.
Yes, you saved me the trouble. So I get blocked by both sides because I'm not Xbox enough and I'm not PlayStation enough for certain people. So
I try and on Twitter, I try and be neutral, not get into the fanboy wars. There's no point.
However, I stand for the Intellivision Amico.
You mentioned it at least once on your show.
That's my fan. Yes, we're gonna do a big unboxing too.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds good. That. Indy, you haven't blocked anyone. Wow,
No,
really?
that's he's
Goodness.
muted. He's muted a
Oh,
couple.
he's muted a couple. Okay.
But it could be that he just follows the right people.
Well, Wormy Hood has got like 25,000 or something blocked, he reckons.
Wow.
He's the master.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So,
Have you got any struggles content creation wise? Or is it
yeah,
time like everyone?
it's time.
It's the
It's
biggest
time.
one.
Like I said, I would love to go and do some streaming and do some more. I was, I always thought about, hey, what if I did like a Mike's Minute, every other day when news pops up and I do a little quick thing, quick hit. But then I'm like, then I have to put a lot more effort into daily content, and then then I want to save that stuff for the show. I want to save that stuff for the big show on Thursday. So that's time is the biggest issue, is just wanting to do more streaming but not being able to, wanting to spend more. I would spend more time making videos, and I can't. That's been a struggle.
Exactly. Yeah, I understand because I've got a job and 2 kids and etc. As well. And that's the main thing because usually, I'm at work at the minute, but during the lockdown, even at home, because we're trying to do the garden up because we're not long moved, you've still got that much to do. I can't just sit there and play games, And then when you get the chance to play games, you often think, do I play games or make a video? And a lot of the time, you probably opt for playing games,
Yep. Or do
So
I
I'm
want to
trying
watch
to,
that movie with my wife?
yeah, exactly same situation. Exactly. I mean, I am trying to bring videos back and get back into that, but I do write some articles as well, as well. But I'm trying to get back into it. But yes, time on every single podcast I've done is been the biggest factor in the struggles is time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because unless you're a 21-year-old, youth, who's got all the time in the world, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Most people got that much to do.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. It really is. Like I said before I came on here, I was on a hike with my family. Tonight, my wife wants to watch the movie, so I won't even get on. I won't even get on until 11 o'clock when she goes to bed. So it's gaming sometimes is even tough.
Hi
So
from the future. It's nearly 11 o'clock here.
You're right. So yeah, I know that other stub shows don't go 2 to 3 hours. So I apologize. Somebody should have warned you about me beforehand.
No, I watch NLG and I know how they go. But it's lucky. It's actually lucky I don't stay up till the early hours to watch NLG.
Oh my god!
Weekly.
Well, yeah. Well, and he knew it. He knew it when he said it. Because afterwards he said, "I don't know why I said it." We were getting towards talking about Last of Us 2, the whole Last of Us 2 leak thing.
Oh yes,
and Frankie said, "It's all right. We got a half hour left." And I'm thinking,
I do remember that one. It was an hour later, wasn't it?
Right, it was an hour later. It's 12:30. We're still going on, and I'm like, and afterwards he said, "I don't know why I said that." So, it's hard. It's hard because people ask me questions, and I just love to.
It's John's fault.
That's right. We're gonna blame him now. I'm good with that. Oh my god. So,
right. Do you have any tips and tricks for people to basically give them the best start on YouTube if they were to start a channel?
Oh my goodness. Watch folks that are better than you for starters. Watch and see what they do. Look for the folks who so, and this is flattery at its best. The inspiration that I got to move away from like a Hangouts thing and start like really designing our show and our site and the backgrounds and all that was when I watched Four Guys with Quarters.
Oh, very good show.
A very good show. And again, a group of folks that, group of guys and ladies that do it right and that do what we do, that we're doing what we were trying to do too, and be positive and keep away from all the nonsense. And so I really like their design. And I didn't want to copy them because obviously you don't want to do that, but I wanted to do something like them. And so, watch people who watch the successful shows and pull from those the things that you think are important to you. Now, unfortunately, look, a lot of shows that are, that are more toxic or things like that, drama sells. So they get a lot of hits. But there's a lot of sites out there that you can pull good things from. So, watch people who are better than you, number one. The other thing that I'll tell you that I think I will always tell you, and whether or not it gets you a large amount of followers or a large amount of subs or things like that, who you are in real life, be that person on YouTube too. I know that you could be a persona on YouTube, and sometimes being that persona can also get you a lot of traffic. And the one that comes to mind for me, when I was first watching YouTube videos, I like millions of other people watched that guy Boogie, whatever 2988 or whatever his name was, right?
Yeah.
But he had an alter ego that he used first called Francis, which garnered him a lot of followers, and now he doesn't really use it anymore because he does his own, he banks on his main personality, which is what I think you should do. I don't think don't use a gimmick and don't use a persona, because eventually that persona catches up to people who are only there to watch that persona. Again, I know we don't have tens of thousands of views, and we don't have, and I'd love to have that. I really would. But I know that the 20 to 25 people that are in our chat room every week, men and women.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. And I know that the people who watch our show every week, even afterwards, I know they're watching it because they like us for us. We joke about Spicy John Place, but that's John. That's John, and that's me, and that's Peter, and that's Chris, and that's Frankie, and we're not playing other characters. Be yourself. No matter what you do, be yourself. Who you are in real life, be that person on your podcast, on your show, in your streams. And I will say that I prefer, whenever possible, to interact with people. When we talk about our chat room, we say, come be part of the chat room and be part of the NLG show. We love that, and it's why we and I say this want to disclaim this. I want to caveat this by saying, if I know that there are great shows out there that do this, and I'm not saying this is the wrong thing to do. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do. But for us at NLG, we don't do super chats. We don't do a Patreon. We try not to give that preference to someone who gives us money. And again, I know that there are some great great shows out there that do that because they are incurring cost and they are trying to do things too. I've gotten lucky where I haven't had to shell out money for things.
Yeah, but
where
I've got a question for you. When you hit 1,000 subs and hit monetization, will you turn the super chat off or leave it on? Because
if it's a default, I'm gonna probably leave it off.
Yeah, I didn't know if you could turn it on or off.
I don't. All. Yeah. And I mean, I turned off monetization a long time ago anyway.
Oh, you can turn it off.
We had moved to Twitch for a long time, and Twitch doesn't pay you anything. Look, we have had people that have sent us things, and I'm not going to turn down donations. I would never turn down donations. People do, but that I've had people that believed in us that said, you know what, hey, here's a gift card. Can you do some streaming for us? Or, hey, if you want to use this as a giveaway, or hey, I know you were talking about this game. I know you don't have it yet. Here's the game. Just because we love you guys. We've had that.
Nice. That's really good. That
that humbles me. But one of the reasons that it would be hard for us to turn on super chats and things like that is because I don't want that to become something that I don't want it to become something that we draw our attention to. So let me put it this way. Sure, we could turn it on, and if people want to donate to the show to help us out so that we could maybe buy a game and stream it or stuff like that, I would take it. But I don't want to feel the obligation to not bring in someone else's opinion that's in the chat room because I got to make way for somebody who gave us $5.
I can see what you mean.
And again, I don't want to take away. I am not trying to take away from the folks that do the super chats and stuff, and because that, again, there are costs involved in what you do. I've gotten lucky in that I have that I've not had to deal in those costs. And if I did have to deal in those costs, maybe I would turn a super chat on. Maybe we would do a Patreon, something like that, but we don't have to. And that's the great part. We can survive, and I can walk away from this at any time, as could any of my crew. We do this for fun. But I could, I've gotten lucky in that I have not had to incur costs like I used to with the site. With the website, we had pop-up ads because we had to. It was the only way for us to survive. I could survive on YouTube with my current computer and my $6 microphone.
I still can't get over that. $6.
Yeah, me either. I was like, wow, I had to get up. So be yourself. Look at the folks that are presenting better, and interact with the people that take the time. Everybody over here, from Indie Gamer to Starbuck to Born to Dread to Daz they take the time to watch your content. They take the time every week to be in your chat room, to Super Cooper, Tipsy, all these folks that I can name here in the chat. They take the time to be in your chat room. Take the time to include them in what you're doing.
Exactly.
You will benefit from it in ways that you don't know. So
Yeah, no, that's a perfect answer. That is definitely. And like Jay's philosophy, support and be supported.
yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And I know, and look, and again, I know Retro Renegades the super chats, and I know that but I will say that they've never, like Jay would never, and Supersonic and those guys would never use that as a tool of preference.
Oh no, I mean it was
It's
quite
that's
funny.
their
It
right.
was quite funny, wasn't it? With Sonic, they were super chatting him to say stuff about Xbox and Game Pass is amazing because he was drunk.
Right.
That was
And
entertaining. That was.
right. And I wish that I had disposable income that I could do that kind of stuff with. I wish I had disposable income because there are times when I would love to do do that just to show my support. So what I do is and one of my more favorite channels that has a Patreon that I can't really do anything with is Top Hat Gaming Man. He's over on your side of the pond. He does some awesome retro stuff.
Okay.
And he's incredible.
Indy's probably heard of him.
Probably. Yeah. I can't afford to be in his Patreon. So what I do is for whatever it's worth, whenever the pre-show ad comes on, I just let the ad run the whole way. And if that gives him, a buck or two of ad revenue for his channel, I'll do that. So if I support a site, I'll let the ads run. If they're doing advertising.
Okay. That's fair enough, that is. But no. Do you want to take some community questions if you have any?
Yeah. If you I said, AMA. Yeah. Now about 6:30 is gonna be dinner time for me. So maybe a couple of questions.
Yeah. Have you got any?
I got about 10 minutes.
Oh, I need beer. Badass Lord Tipsy.
Yeah. I almost brought one to the show. I had a brother's cider. I did. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. That's your drink of choice?
Yeah, cider, normally.
Very nice.
It is. So. Any questions, anyone? But to be honest, I think we've covered a lot of stuff, to be honest.
What's my favorite color? Blue. No. Oh! Anybody got that reference? I actually watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail last night for some reason. I don't know why. Just every once in a while, I need to have that. So, well, thank you. He said, ACS said, yo, Stubbs, good shit, man. Glad I tuned in. I'll definitely check out Mike and his cast out too. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, mate.
Really appreciate that.
That's Husk that's on Xbox Beyond the Box, if you didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Romy Hood show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's I've caught that show a couple of times and trying to catch more of it.
It's a good show, that is.
Yeah, I've heard that is a good show.
There's a question for you that came in.
All right.
With connectivity as it is, do you think loneliness is over when we get older because of gaming?
So, it has definitely changed. And I know that, if you talk to guys like Tommy Tallarico who are bringing out the Intellivision Amico, his philosophy is getting co-op, like in-house co-op together again, you playing with friends and, next to each other, you playing with your family next to each other, and all that's really good. But I have to say, in this day and age, the dawn of being able to play and talk to people from all over the world, I think that has really helped. I'm gonna be, like I said, I'm gonna be 40. I'm gonna be 47 this year, and yet I've got a stable of friends that I can jump on every night. And even if I'm not gaming, I can just jump in and talk to them. If I'm over here working and doing some IT work, I'll still jump into an Xbox or PSN party and talk to my friends. So yeah, I mean, the way connectivity is now, it really helps. It really keeps people. It's kept people, and especially now with quarantining and lockdown and not being able to really get out and do things. It now more than ever. That's why gaming is kind of spiking right now as far as active usership and people online. And I mean, because you're finding that you can still have friends, and you can still game, and you can still enjoy other people's company even if you're not sitting next to them on the couch. So yeah, I absolutely think that it helps with that loneliness factor when we get older, because we know we can jump online and we can play with our friends from anywhere, from down the street to across the world.
Definitely, that's a good answer. That is, you are right.
Yes.
So
All
I remember when I first played on the Dreamcast, and I couldn't believe I was playing against somebody in America. I thought it was genius.
Yeah. Phantasy Star Online.
I didn't try that one. I didn't.
Oh,
I've never played it.
Online MMO on the Dreamcast, right?
Yeah.
With a 56K modem.
Oh, I missed the dial-up noise. Right, we've got a question from Mindy.
All right.
Did you do anything to hone your writing skills back in the day? And what makes a good article or feature?
Wow. All right. So I did a lot of on-the-job learning. Like I said, I didn't train for this.
No.
I wanted to find my own style. Everybody else wrote things just in a certain way. I wanted to find my own style. And one of so when I was doing the site, I created a couple of things. One of my favorite writing styles was kind of a role play kind of thing. So I did a preview for a game called I want to say Full Metal Jacket, which is a movie. And as what's the name of the game? Oh shoot, I'll find it. But in the meantime, so it was a war game, and it was based around kind of squad war gaming. It was sort of action and but not quite. It wasn't a first person shooter. So what I did was, instead of writing it like a straight up preview, I wrote it as if I were a war journalist out in the field, and I was talking to, I made up some general's name, and I wrote it as though I was writing an article for the local military paper. And it just, those kind of things. I created this thing one of the games I got to preview from Acclaim was their Legends of Wrestling series. And I do a weekly wrestling show. Like you'd have WCW Nitro and WWF Raw, and I had
the glory days of wrestling.
Yep, I had Saturday Night NLG, and I would take videos for the preview, but instead of just saying, "Oh, here's what Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage's entrance looks like, and the graphics look like this and the things like that," I would commentate a wrestling match, and I'd show the video, but I would write the preview like that. So I tried to, I created NLG Sports. And so we'd have this is Mike Mullis from the NLG Sports broadcast booth, things like that. I just tried to do something. Thank you, Dreadpool, Full Spectrum Warrior. Thank you, which is backward compatible, by the way, on the Xbox One. And if you have a chance to play that game, it's awesome and it's different. Anyway, I tried to just do something different. I looked at everybody else and said, how can I get people to pay attention to what I write? And so I would do these little skits and things like that. That's really how I came about it. And I had to do that. I just kind of learned it while I was going. So,
that's
yeah,
very good, very very good story that, and how you craft your art form, your skill.
yeah. So if you go, it's a great Full Spectrum Warrior is a great look. If you go to, let's say, if you go back to web.archive.org, you look up NL Gaming, and you get to one of the game pages that actually lists the games. You'll find that that game in there, and you'll find that preview, and you can see how I did it.
Yeah, after look that up, I will definitely. But
let's see.
I think any more questions, or do you have to go?
Chris, I can do.
They keep sending you questions, don't they?
I know. No, that's great. I can. You know what? I could probably do another 10 minutes.
Okay.
So, Mike, did you play Nintendo as a kid? Chris, you know the answer to that. No.
I've actually been looking at a lot of the questions. I think they're asking him stuff they know already.
So John, what is your Technofabulous? What is your favorite console ever? I bet that you will say Dreamcast. You would win that bet, sir. Yeah. That would be the Dreamcast. So, let's see. All right. What was my favorite song to play on my DJ gigs? Well, I'm a musician in a band, but I'd have to say one of my favorite songs to play. I like a lot of 80s stuff. So when we would play that funky music, that's one of my favorites to play when we're out gigging. Brick House, another good one. I got a whole slate of good songs we do in our sets. Let's see.
I missed it. Oh, sorry. What's for dinner? And what's
roast. My wife is making a roast in the crock pot.
Sounds nice. We're having one tomorrow. Sunday dinner.
And would I do a community hangout IRL? Ooh, I haven't seen IRL in a long time. I would love to do a community hangout. We have to figure that out. And you know what? Honestly, to be quite honest, better than me at getting those set up and doing those things is Chris. So Fastback, he's kind of our marketing guy. He's I would put that I'd put that in his hands to put together. But I'd love to do a thing. So. Ooh, here's a great when should we expect a reaction stream for Inside Xbox next week? So here's the beauty of that one. So our show goes on Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So that Inside Xbox is Thursday afternoon at noon Eastern Standard Time. So the focus of our show this coming Thursday night is going to be that Inside Xbox, because they're going to be showing Xbox Series X gameplay. So tune in that evening. That'll give me time too to get any trailers and stuff. We'll of course show trailers and anything that we can. So
looking forward to that. Should be
good. Me too. Because I'm finally want to see some gameplay, because I've sort of kind of poo-pooed because I've got an Xbox One X and a base PS4, which are great. So I'm not totally on the day one board of the new consoles.
I wasn't planning to buy one till at least next year.
That's where I'm at. My launch console is an Amico. It's just the way it is. So
well, you know how it's been in the past. You know, these new consoles come out and there's been problems with them. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but you wait till the bugs are ironed out. You know.
So Removable Sanity had a really good question. Favorite game music that you listen to regularly? So one of my favorite things about the Sega CD, Sega Saturn and to an extent, Dreamcast, PS1 era is, when we weren't focused on graphics because the technology wasn't there, people focused on music. One of the things I love about guys like Tommy Tallarico, and one of the things that that draw me to him was, it's not just that he's making a new console that's coming out this year. He had some of the best gaming soundtracks out there. And the beginning of our show, actually, our intro video is one of his soundtracks, which he gave us explicit permission to use from the Terminator Sega CD. And I mean, those soundtracks, and I rip them to my PC and I listen to them all the time. I will drive down the road listening to Daytona USA or Outrun. Like, I will take Magical Sound Shower from Outrun and I will play that track, the remake track of that, driving down the road. I love that era of music. Give me the soundtrack from Earthworm Jim or from Virtual Fighter 2. There's actually a couple of games called Bug and Bug 2 that from the Sega Saturn that have incredible soundtracks. Sega CDs, I can point out Mickey Mania, Echo the Dolphin, Final Fight.
Yeah.
Final Fight, which the Sega CD version of Final Fight is the best console version you will find, has the best soundtrack of all. There's another guy, Spencer Nilsson, who did the Echo soundtrack, who also did Batman Returns on the Sega CD.
Oh.
I love listening to that. I love listening to the Sonic CD soundtrack. What else is there that I'm looking over there at? I mean, it's just, Robo Aleste on the Sega CD. Some of those shoot 'em ups, the vertical and horizontal shooters, had some fantastic soundtracks. The Sega CD actually launched with a game called Soul Feast, which was a CD version of a cartridge game called Soul Dees. And it was the same game, just with a soundtrack on it. But the soundtrack was sublime. And another console that actually did really good soundtracks, besides the Genesis and Super Nintendo, was the Neo Geo. So back in my days when I had a Neo Geo, I would play games like Viewpoint, that had like this really cool intro, a really cool soundtrack. The Atari Jaguar had a couple of games that had great soundtracks. Tempest 2000 comes to mind. So yeah, and again, I've got a lot of this stuff ripped to my PC, and I will just listen to them just to listen. But those were my big eras of music, was the Sega CD and the Sega Saturn, the PS1 and the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah, no, that's very, very good
So,
answer that was.
Oh,
I'm
Daz,
terrible. I'm terrible with music, to be honest.
Yeah,
If you'd
Daz,
asked-
yeah. Oh, sorry.
If you'd
Go
asked
ahead.
that question, the answer would have been, I don't know. I'm terrible.
It's okay.
I would have probably said the Gears of War soundtrack and Gears of War 1 or something.
Well, no, some of
No,
that's very good. Some of that's very good. But nowadays the soundtrack isn't as focused as it was back in the day. Because like I said, back in the day, graphics weren't what they are today, so you had to sell on something, and sound and music were what you sold on. So
yeah, no, you're right. You got a good point. You have. Some of these kids that play Fortnite need to be shown.
Yeah.
Go back in the day to how games used to be. Is that a game?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, Daz, I will get you some new I don't know that I have any new logos. I think everything that I got's current. So by all means use, yes, because we are a partner. Daz does some stuff for us. So yeah, use and I don't know if Jay wants to get you anything. Magical Sound Shower would be a weird conversation to walk in on. Let's see. All right, those are great questions, guys.
Yeah, they were good. Really good.
I do have to get ready for dinner though, so I do not want to make my wife angry.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh my goodness,
really good chat. You know.
I thank you for such great questions too. I mean, I like I said, I've got such great memories, and um, I'm not only proud of the work that I've done, but I'm very humble for the opportunity. You know, I was very, um, you know, I got to do what many people could not and don't get a chance to do, and I appreciated, you know, I appreciated what I was able to do, and I look back on my gaming journalism life with such fondness, and you know, talking to you today just let me relive it for a little bit, and let me feel young for a little bit, and I appreciate that, Stubbs. I really do. I really
Definitely, it
do.
was really insightful. Look into your career in gaming.
I
You're really
appreciate it.
really insightful because I mean I know a lot of people that are on YouTube etc. that they haven't actually been a real journalist, whereas you have. So you've got that experience. You know what I mean? So I really really appreciate you coming on and
Ah.
sharing all your fun stories. And as Dreadpool says, write a book.
No one would buy my book. It would be
I would.
I
Dreadpool would.
one or two copies. No, you know, it's I appreciate that, and it makes, you know, um it humbles me, you know, to it really does. That's right. We are still young. We don't get old. We level up. That is perfect,
Exactly.
Tipsy. That is perfect. So
Exactly. Right. Do you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
yes. So we are, as you can see, the original Next Level Gaming.
Yeah.
You can find us on YouTube. It's primarily where we are. If I do get some streaming going again, we may fire up the Twitch site again. But for now, it's youtube.com/the original Next Level Gaming. Or if you just put Next Level Gaming into the search, we come up. I haven't looked lately. Let me see.
Also, links in the description.
Yeah, we come up about we come up sort of in the first couple of things here. So just look for the original Next Level Gaming. I am at stingerNLG on Twitter, and then you can find our official NLG Twitter feed at OG_NL Gaming. We do our show Thursday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, and that's every Thursday. And we will do from time to time. We'll do a reaction show. So, you know, had E3 been going the way, you know, the normal way, and Xbox and other companies were doing their press briefings, we would do a live reaction show to it. But our main focus is our Thursday night show, and that's really, you know, it's really where we are. And I encourage you guys to come if you haven't checked out a show before. You know, come check out Peter and Chris and John and Frankie and you know, and if you like us, hit that sub button and just tell a friend. That's how we want to grow. We want you to tell a friend about us. You know, I can advertise the show till the cows come home, but really, if you like it, tell one of your buddies, hey, check out the NLG show. And if they like it, have them do it. And that's how I want to grow, because that's how I know we're going to get the right people. So that's how to find us.
Yeah, right. Thanks for that. People should really check out at the NLG show. It's really good. I heard about it through the Indie Gamer and UK Daz, so I checked it out. And
I appreciate it, Daz.
turn up weekly.
So
not live, but after. But
that's okay. Hey, that's okay too. That's all right. I appreciate your support, Stubbs. And again, I had a really good time today. My wife just poked her head and said dinner. So, I'm gonna go eat. But I cannot thank you enough for having me on.
Okay, thanks, mate. All right, thanks for Tune in, everyone. All right, thanks. See you. See you next time.
Bye, guys. Game and ladies, and play on gamers.
What's going on?
I can't hold this pose forever.
I'm trying to.
It's the show that won't end.
Right. Let's try again.